So about a week ago, we talked about how the Los Angeles Lakers built up the Magic Johnson era by robbing three other teams of some pretty significant players, one of which being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson himself in a draft pick, as well as James Worthy. Well, funny enough, the other team, and the only team, that has had as much success as the Lakers have had, is the Boston Celtics. And funny enough, they themselves have been the recipients of some pretty lopsided moves as well. And the first one is centered around Bill Russell, perhaps the best Celtic of all time, and one of the best players of all time, period. He was actually drafted by the St. Louis Hawks back in 1956. I know that's not the year on the thing. But the genius of Red Auerbach saw the greatness in Russell, so he would trade away Easy Ed McCulley, who was actually a Hall of Famer, and Cliff Hagan, who was a rookie, to the St. Louis Hawks, and in exchange he would get Bill Russell. And of course, as we all know, Russell is thought of as potentially the best center of all time, a lockdown defensive player, and people say he would get up to like 6 to 7 blocks per game if they had recorded them back then. But he also had a huge emphasis when it came to teamwork and moving the ball around. I mean, the guy only averaged about 15, 16 points for his career, but he led the Celtics to 11 championships in 13 seasons. That's pretty damn stupid. But here's the thing, this is only the first trade of this whole thing for the Celtics. The next one would come during the Larry Bird era. Now, funny enough, Larry Bird himself was actually drafted by Boston. However, we all know that he had a few Hall of Fame teammates that really took that team to the next level. And they were both in the front court, one of which being Kevin McHale, one of the best post-up players in the history of the league, and the other one, a very effective two-way center in Robert Parrish, who was around 20-10 his whole career, although he never actually touched those numbers. And the Celtics would acquire both of these guys through Red Auerbach sending the number 1 overall pick in the 1980 draft, as well as number 13, to the Golden State Warriors for number 2, as well as Robert Parrish, and he was already an established player in the NBA, and then Kevin McHale was selected with that number 2 overall pick. And then just like that, the championship front court that would lead the Celtics to multiple championships and more if Larry Bird didn't get injured, was established. And the Warriors, well, they would get back Joe Barry Carroll with the number 1 overall pick, who was pretty damn good for about 6 seasons, then he dropped off, and I have no idea who the other guy is. So chalk up another lopsided trade and a few championships for Boston. And the last one, the most recent one as well, in the mid-2000s, Paul Pierce was centered around a bunch of scrubs, to be honest. I mean, if you look at all the people around him, it's Brian Scalabrine and then a bunch of generated players in 2K, because that's what they might as well have been. Pierce established himself as one of the best players in the league, but the talent around him, I mean, it just pretty much sucked. But luckily for Boston, Kevin Garnett was in a similar situation with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had been carrying them for about a decade. His age had started to get up there, and it seemed like he was never going to contend for much of anything. Well, then some trade rumors started whirling around, and somehow KG found himself in a Boston Celtics jersey. But you want to know how ridiculous of a move this really is? I mean, this was a flat-out robbery. It was essentially Al Jefferson and 2 first-round picks, because the rest of it was Gerald Green and Ryan Gomes and Sebastian Telfair. I mean, for Kevin Garnett, do we remember how good this guy was when he was moved? And then you add in that the Celtics also acquired Ray Allen, which to be honest was a pretty fair move, and then we all know what happened. The big 3 of the Celtics would win in 2008, and isn't it just funny how all of these championships with the Celtics, all of them, can be attributed to another team just making a boneheaded move. Anyway, that's going to do it. Shout out to you.